I wonder if the software can make the monkey perform, because isn't that what it's all about? It's getting everybody to perform for YouTube. I was just saying it's hard to believe it's been 2 months since I started this. I think it was May 17th. And it's been a natural progression. The first thing was how to work the camera so that I could actually realize that you can't turn the camera while you're filming. Then it was to find an app, so if I wanted to flip the two cameras, front facing, rear facing, I needed an app. So I loaded an app, learned how to use the app. Then I had to learn how to transfer the larger files from the phone to my MacBook. Okay, so I had to get some equipment. Then I had to figure out that holding the camera by hand was always going to tire my hands and put a shake into the filming. So I got a tripod. All right, so there's been this natural progression. Fluffy the microphone. Let's see her here. Fluffy the microphone. To improve on the audio when I'm outside and it's a little windy. So I have to remember to get Fluffy and put her receiver into the phone and turn her on and keep her charged. I used to laugh at some creators who would talk about the amount of equipment it took to go on the road to film inside of a Goodwill or at an event. And I'm beginning to see that now. You got your tripod, you got your microphones, you got your phone, you got a spare phone. And then of course you also got to remember your wallet so you can buy coffee. But last night I began playing a bit with thumbnail AIs. So that's the latest part of this progression. A few days ago I watched a video put out by a content creator I do watch. And she was talking about how she makes some of her thumbnails with AI. And that's another one of those double-edged swords. I was chatting to somebody about it after I watched that video, and I said it is both exciting and terrifying to see how AI has progressed to the level of videos and photo construction. I'm not so impressed by what AI does writing text for things like eBay item descriptions. There's too much fluff. But the simple fact that it's getting harder and harder to tell, what is an AI generated face and what is a photograph is really incredible. This particular video was about using a site called FAL.ai. FAL. I was surprised by how inexpensive the operation has gotten to. It used to be you talked about, paying hundreds of dollars to get a thumbnail created. That's out of the price point of a lot of brand new content creators like me. Even though they, all the experts say, oh, the thumbnail, it's got to grab a viewer's attention. It's got to get them to want to click and open and watch your video. Doesn't matter if your video is good or bad if nobody watches it. That seems logical. And you can go to the extremes. But the interesting thing I found was that if you can generate an AI thumbnail, cheap, inexpensive, it can save time. And of course, at my age, saving time is always appealing. If you're going to do something anyway, doing it efficiently is a consideration. It's not always the only consideration, because if you save so much time to the point where you don't enjoy what you're doing, then it's a negative. But the idea that you can take yourself on say it's nighttime outside and it's winter, but you are talking about a subject where your thumbnail should be daytime and sunny. You can create that in a few minutes at your computer. And it doesn't have to be a big, powerful computer. And it doesn't have to be your background. It doesn't have to be your yard or your beach or your lake that gets your point across. So I've started playing with this week. And I was creating some of them yesterday. And I have to say that, like every other aspect of becoming a content creator, it's not as easy as people make it look. My first AI, which I'll have to splice in here, my first thumbnail generation, It only took a few minutes to create, I guess that you can call it an avatar, if you will. They had me upload, I think I uploaded 8 pictures of myself, smiling, frowning, turned sideways, with a hat, without a hat, glasses, no glasses, a couple of them of my torso to show my shape, and I uploaded them. It ran itself through a cycle. It produced an image, an AI, if you will, an avatar. Then it had me name it. It had me give it a unique name that isn't going to get mixed up with conversational English. They called that a trigger. I made my trigger BLH. So it's like, have BLH stand by the lake in a blue shirt with a John Deere hat and a lake in the background. That's all I had. That's all I typed into that first one. And I hit go, and 5-10 seconds later, there's a pretty reasonable looking photo of me standing by a lake that isn't mine, in a shirt I don't own, and a John Deere hat that, I own a few, but it wasn't mine either. It was like, cool. Wow. What you could do with that kind of technology if you were malicious. So I played with it some more. And I said, well, I wonder if I can create an avatar for my purple monkey avatar. Because I use a 2-dimensional purple monkey in all my thumbnails, and I use him, as this character, the little circle, for my comments on YouTube. But he's fixed. He's got a red hat, he's purple and gold. He's got a hammer in his hand. But from time to time, I'm like, well, I'd like to replace the hammer with a cell phone, or I'd like to replace the hammer with something else, or I'd like to change the color of his hat, or, I need him to be doing something other than standing. And so far I've been limited to, cropping, a little cut and paste, flipping them horizontally or vertically, enlarging them, reducing his size, that type of thing. So it's like, I wonder if the software can make the monkey perform, because isn't that what it's all about? It's getting everybody to perform for YouTube. It aired out. For some reason, the process that it used to make me an avatar, it wouldn't make the purple monkey an avatar. So then I turned to the prompt where you type in, have BLH standing by a lake wearing a red cap. So I said, well, why don't I just say, have BLH working to construct a shed? I happen to be working on the thumbnails for, building your workspace. It was like, okay. And I ran a series of photos, and it costs you about 3 or 4 cents each time you produce a photo. It costs you more to produce your avatar, a couple of bucks. But then once you have your avatar. So I said, well, let's just keep putting in the purple monkey. And then sometimes I'd say the purple monkey from the YouTube channel, Cabin Fever Reselling. And sometimes it would come up with a nice little furry monkey with a curved tail and a hat. But my image would be crazy looking. Other times my image would be fine, and the purple monkey, sometimes it wasn't even purple. And the weirdest ones are when it's like, have BLH sitting on a park bench with a purple monkey having coffee. Simple concept. They made the purple monkey look like me. White beard, my face, real freaky. Real freaky. It just seems to be so hit and miss at this point. And I guess it's going to be a career for, people to put in their text. It used to be coders. You hired coders to make all these things. Now it's just simply typed prompts. So people who know what to type in to get the prompt. And the next step that the video I was watching was talking about is going over to Chat GPT and telling it what you wanted in the prompt, so that then you could bring the prompt over and have the AI follow a better prompt. So I guess that'll be the next thing I have to try, because this is a progression. And after a couple of days and, spending 3.5 cents many, many times, the process is too random. I can't figure out a way, and if you know how to do this, please send me a note. I can't figure out a way to take something the AI just produced and say, the BLH character is fine, but your purple monkey needs work. Do this to the purple monkey, while keeping the rest of it, because I'll use the same prompt and just make a small change, and I'll get a radically different response from that AI. It'll change the shed in the background. It'll change the park bench. Sometimes it makes me and the monkey monkeys. I mean, it's cute, but it wasn't what I was after. So I'm having trouble figuring out how to take an image, get an image generated, and then keep tweaking that image till they fix the things you want. You know, like you'll say, put the Cabin Fever logo on the shirt. And sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. You know, make the shirt red. Sometimes the shirt will be red. Sometimes in one image I had no shirt because I wasn't specific about shirt color. So it put me in a pair of bib overalls with, you know, big arms and a hairy chest. So it was just, it's an odd experience at this point. And of course, as it progresses, it'll get easier for the inexperienced people like me to use, which will make it even more scary, because once the technology is dumbed down to the point where folks like me who can learn it in a matter of minutes or hours or days, can do damage with it, can use it to create things that aren't real, it's going to become a terrifying aspect. Rose said that she thinks it's going to be a problem for the grandchildren. We'll have it for a few years and then we'll pass out of the problem. The grandchildren, it's going to be their whole lives. They're not going to be able to trust the news, television. They're not going to be able to trust the feeds that come into their phones. You know, is that real? Is that, did that accident actually happen on the interstate? Is there a city on fire that I have relatives in? YouTube has a little box that I have to check each time I upload a video that says, you know, is there fake content? Is there altered content to the point where, you know, people might be deceived? Then, of course, I always click no. It can be a problem. And it made me think of the whole copy machines, that the 3D printers, that you basically have a CAD program, a software program, design something, you send that information into the printer, and it begins building you a thing. Well, on the one hand, it's very useful. If what I need is a replacement plastic part for something that broke and the part's not available anymore, I can make one. I can have the 3D printer produce one. That's a useful aspect. Having the 3D printer produce a plastic gun to be smuggled on board an airplane, not a useful product. And that's where the scary part comes in. And of course, government regulation. They passed a law that said if you're going to produce plastic guns using your 3D printers, you've got to put enough metal into the product so that a metal detector goes off when you try to smuggle it through the airport. Now, things like that, that's the logic that, you know, locks keep honest people honest. If you're going to build plastic guns to go onto airports or through airport detection systems, you're probably going to ignore the law. So if you really want to fake somebody out and put up bad YouTube videos showing a perception that something happened that terrifies other people, you're probably not going to check the box that says it's fake. Of course, YouTube can suspend your account eventually, but the damage is done. And YouTube accounts are easy to come by. Something else I had to learn, you know, how to generate new accounts. So there's not a lot of hurdles between somebody who wants to create an account just to create a problem and the rest of us. Anyway, that's the game I'm playing. I'll start to occasionally put a avatar in, maybe as a thumbnail, or I'll use it to generate a scene that is humorous. But so far I haven't figured out enough about how this works to do much more than go down the rabbit hole and spend time and a little bit of money just playing with it. But it is an interesting toy, application, something. And us old guys, we need our toys. We need to be amused. there's a lot less amusement in life than there was when I was young. It's a little bit later the same day, and I'm playing with the AI some more. So I started with this premise. BLH, which is me, is smiling, handing the post office mail carrier a package. I'm happy because it seems to have trouble giving me anything except a frown. I'm wearing a blue shirt. Mail carrier is female because my carrier is female. And the mail carrier and BLH are standing by the truck. So this is what I got. Not too bad. So I said, well, let me play with this a little bit more. So I came back and I made a couple of adjustments because oddly, it's always making me sad-faced, and it usually tries to give me a wristwatch, which I don't wear. So I thought I'd play with this. And I figured out, though, after about the third try, that the word handing the post office, the word handing, is making it look like I'm having an affair with the postal carrier. It keeps trying to make our hands touch, which might be why I'm trying to be happy. But take a look at this. It's decided that we're having a thing going on here. All right. But it's doing a pretty good job with me. So I thought, all right, well, let's step this up a bit. Now I'm smiling, still handing the mail carrier a package. I'm still trying to get happy. Now I'm wearing a yellow shirt. And I specifically say I do not wear a watch. Mail carrier is still female, and we're standing by the truck, which is weird because it can't seem to do letters very well. It keeps putting these weird letters under the postal logo. All right. Well, this is what I got. Now, BLH, me, I'm female wearing a yellow shirt. Still holding hands with the carrier. And in this one, of course, it looks nothing like me. Maybe if I lost 120 pounds and changed my face. But our hands are still touching, and this is where I figured out why the word handing seems to be giving the AI an issue. All right, we're still smiling, but we're meeting with the carrier instead of handing. Still included the package. I'm still trying to get happy. I'm back to wearing a blue shirt, no wristwatch. Carrier is female. We're standing by the truck, and there's a cute purple monkey. Well, let's have a look here. That monkey's not so cute. And in the second image, I am both the mail carrier and the customer, and the monkey's coming out of the box. So I don't know. Like I say, I'm either going to have to learn a lot more about how to do these prompts or just wait for the technology to get to the point where it can be dumbed down for somebody like me to use it. It's not doing such a bad job on most of the images of my face. You be the judge of that. I'll throw up a real photo. Yeah, that is definitely not a happy monkey. And in this one, I'm not having an affair with the postal carrier. In this one, well, you can hardly beat the service of having yourself pick up your packages. At least then you know they'll get handled correctly. And that monkey, he doesn't look so happy either. But look at the words on the postal truck. They can't seem to spell out USPS or post office properly. And that's why some people say they leave all the text out of their AI images and put it in another program like Canva, because it just seems to have trouble with text.